There's a reason why some traders stay stuck for years while others finally break through. And it's not talent, price reading skills, or strategy. For example, have you ever had a day where you break one rule and somehow end up down 5 times more than you planned? Now, most traders don't blow accounts because they have a bad strategy. They blow accounts because they can't consistently follow the strategy they already have. They know where they should enter, they know where they should exit, and they know they shouldn't revenge trade, and they do it anyway. You see, the difference between amateur traders and professional traders isn't that pros don't feel fear, frustration, greed, or FOMO. They do. Now, while I'm not the best trader out there, the one thing almost every trader friend of mine has told me is, B. James, you're the most disciplined trader I know. And in fact, out of my 10 funded accounts, I have only ever blown one, and it happened the week I quit drinking coffee. So I blame the coffee. But where I struggled was actually in the eval or challenge accounts, doing all the dumb things like tilting after a single loss and blowing the eval. So for me, there was a single idea that changed everything for me. And it was the idea that amateur traders are inside the emotion and act erratically, but pro traders observe the emotion and follow the plan. Now let that sink in for a second. Amateur traders are inside the emotion and act erratically. And pro traders observe the emotion but follow the plan. Now, how exactly do you do that? Well, let's get into it. All right, before we get into the habits that create consistent trading, I want to talk about how to use this material that we're going to be discussing here today. So there's two sides of disciplined trading, and what we do and how you actually do it. Here in this video, I'm going to be focused on the what we do, the habits, the things that we do to create disciplined trading, to create consistency. I want to give you the ideas. I want to give you a picture of everything that I do to be as disciplined as I can be. But the how to actually implement it, it's a whole nother ballgame, and that's for a separate video. But when you combine these two, the what to do and the how to do it, that's how we create consistency and discipline in trading. So I'm going to break these habits into 3 sections, starting with before your trading session. Now, I think the last 2 that I'm going to talk about at the very end of this presentation are going to be the most powerful ones, so be sure to stick around for those. So number 1, consistent daily morning routine. And I think this is really important. I have a rule that says I need to be up and at my desk 45 minutes before the trading session begins. And every morning I start off with the same things. I get up at the same time. I do a prayer and meditation session. I do a walk on my treadmill. And I think that's really important. So the walk on the treadmill wakes me up first thing in the morning, so I'm not a little confused and delirious and making poor decisions when the bell opens at 9:30 New York. And when I'm on the treadmill, I actually make good use of my time by reviewing my mindset material, my rules, and anything else I need to go into the trading session remembering. And I'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Then I sit down at the charts. I do my pre-market analysis, and I'm ready to go 15 minutes before the bell rings every day. Now, what I know from experience is when I wake up late and I'm struggling to get everything together before the trading session and I'm still finishing my market analysis when the bell rings, I am a less effective trader. Maybe you would be too. So therefore, the consistent daily morning routine has really been helpful. All right, second is my morning scripts and mindset material. Now, I'll explain what I mean here. Oftentimes, when I look back at my trading day, there's a lesson that really sticks out, and especially something that's repeating over and over again during a period of time. And what I do is I make note of those lessons and I print them out. I draw drawings and make diagrams. I print them out and I put them on my desk. These are a stack of things that I need to read and remind myself every day. So for example, this one is, I don't have to take a trade today. This is the energy to show up with every day. I reframe my mindset and I remind myself what I am doing before I get into the trading session. And this is what I spend my time on the treadmill doing, is reviewing these scripts that I've printed out and put on my desk. Having these morning scripts to read and reminding myself every single day has been a huge help in my trading. It ingrains the material in my head through repetition, as well as it keeps it fresh in my head just as I'm starting the session. All right, the next section is during the trading session. And number 3 is constitute. I don't know what that says. And it's supposed to say consistency, and I messed that slide up. So 3 is consistency. What do I mean by that? I mean that everything you're doing is consistent day to day throughout the charts. It means you're using the same asset, you're using the same model, you're reading price with the same tools, you're using the same indicators. You're not changing anything in the middle of your trading sessions. If you do want to change something, it needs to be thoroughly tested and you need to have data gathered through back testing and live testing. Another tip here for consistency, I recommend do not watch other traders trading live. They will change how you think even if you don't realize it. They'll influence your bias, they'll influence your confidence in a setup, and it'll mess you up. So to maintain consistency, don't watch live traders. All right, 4, have all your general rules predefined. And I know that doesn't sound sexy or fun, but this is really critical because the more rules we have predefined, the more we remove decision fatigue during the trading session. As traders, we already have tons of decisions to make throughout the day, hundreds and hundreds of little micro decisions. And the more of those we remove, the fresher our minds are going to be, the easier our trading session is. Additionally, when it comes to evaluating what's going wrong in your trading, if you have strong framework to be able to check yourself against, you'll know what you're doing wrong just by determining if you've been breaking any of your rules. Now, I break this up into 3 types of rules. I have just a general daily group of rules that I look at. And these are things like I must beat my computer an hour before trading. If I have a headache or poor sleep or a disagreement with someone, that automatically is a no trade day. And things like max number of trades and daily loss limit. Next, I have my model rules or standard operating procedure. This just clearly defines exactly what I'm looking for in my trade model. Additionally, I have a grading system where I can take the variations of my model and I can grade it A, A minus, A plus, B plus. And again, this really helps remove decision fatigue during the trading process. And last here, I have a context scoring system or rule system. And basically what this is your trading model is only the pattern on the chart. The whole thing around it, the narrative, this is the context. And an A plus trading model in a poor context or a poor narrative is going to fail. So you'll increase your win rate by having a solid model plus a solid narrative or context behind it. This is things like higher time frame alignment, premium versus discount, IRL to ERL, market conditions, news, and things like that. 5th, you need to define trading rules for the day. So this is different than just general daily rules and model-related rules. This is how are you handling yourself throughout the day? And some examples are 1 trade per macro. And I really like this rule and wanted to share it because in my experience, if you take multiple trades in a short amount of time, like within 1 macro, that's a really good way to get chopped up and seek and destroy. Whereas if you take a trade, you take a loss and you let some time pass, often enough, you'll find out that there was a reason why the trade didn't work out and price wanted to move away from that zone anyway, saving yourself from additional losses. And second, for me, 2 losses and I'm done for the day. I also have a daily loss limit set to make sure I don't go over this. What I found in my trading is if I take 2 losses, I generally have a poor read on the market and I'm really not likely to win on the 3rd trade. I'm actually more likely to lose, so I just avoid it. And then lastly here, I want to point out FOMC week and NFP week are different weeks than normal. I have specific rules just for those weeks. For example, for FOMC, Monday and Friday are actually no trade days for me. Statistically, I don't do well on those 2 days on FOMC week. Now, for NFP week, I discovered I do not trade the afternoon sessions. I just price actions poor. Additionally, Tuesday is actually the lowest probability day, so I'd be conservative on Tuesday. And Friday, no trades whatsoever. And number 6, no trade days. Now, what I mean by this more specifically, because I've already talked about, certain no trade day criterias, such as NFP Friday, or if I have a headache. But what I mean by this no trade days is you need to be in the habit of being able to not take a trade throughout an entire session. When I look back at my trading history, what I have found is that I only take trades about 3/4 of the day. That means 1/4 of the days, I do not take any trades. Additionally, when I look at my historical data, especially in backtesting, I've done a few years of backtesting. What I have noticed is there is a strong correlation between a month where I took a lot of trades and poor performance, and a correlation between the months that I took few trades and high performance. Not every day is a trading day. All right, number 7 is just size down. If you're watching this video, you're probably, working on becoming a consistent trader and breaking through. And if that's the case, what I found in my journey is if I have my position size too big for me at that point in time, even if it's appropriately sized for the account, but maybe my emotional state can't handle it, I'm going to trade worse. And so an experiment that I've played with is sizing down during periods where I'm not feeling so confident, where I'm having maybe a little more trouble reading price, or maybe where I'm on a bit of a losing streak. Sizing down to get my feet back on the ground is super helpful. And if you can't size down, that points to a greed issue. In other words, you're more concerned about rushing to that payout than you are about perfecting the process and gaining a skill set that'll feed you for life. So be honest with yourself. Be truthful. Are you sizing bigger than you should because of greed? And how's that working out for you? All right, number 8 is slow down. All across the board, slow down. Now for me, I'm on the 1 minute time frame. I'm a scalper. It can move quickly, so it's even more important to slow down. There will always be another trade setup, just like a train that comes to the train station again and again and again. If you miss the train, you miss the bus, there will be another one. The only time it's a problem is when you're in a rush to get to a payout, and therefore you have to take a trade today in this session. And that's where all the trouble starts. That's where tilting starts. That's where blown accounts start. Additionally, if you rush to get back a loss, you're more likely to get another loss. I looked back through my data, and it's very clear to me. That's why I've made an entire rule about that, where if I've taken a loss, I need to wait till the next macro to take another trade. That's proven a positive for my P&L curve. All right, number 9 is tilt triggers. As traders, this is more of a game of introspection than reading the charts and reading the candlesticks. You need to journal at the end of the day and look back at what triggered you. Think about it. You have to be honest and truthful with yourself. You got to dig into that kind of uncomfortable stuff, the stuff that actually matters. And you need to find the triggers. Why did you re-enter the trade when you got stopped out? What was it? Are you fearful that you're not going to be able to take care of your family, and so therefore you must make it back? Or whatever the reason was, find it out. And you need to create systems to intervene for yourself. For me, when I was going through a tough period where I would kind of start revenge trading if I took a loss, I was just getting super frustrated and super upset. I actually ordered a panic button from Amazon, and I had it on my desk. And if I was starting to lose control, I just smacked the button, and it made a bunch of loud noises, and everyone in the house knew what was happening, and it just created a pattern interrupt. So I was able to stop the tilt and move away. All right, our next section here is after the session. And number 10, journal. And yada, yada, yada. I know everybody says that, right? But there's a reason why everybody says it. It has been the most powerful thing for me in trading, my changing, finding my mistakes, and changing my behaviors. Now, that could be in and of itself an entire video, but the few things I want to point out with my journal is I both journal the price action for the day, and I also extensively journal all of my emotions and what happened, the days, play-by-play, what I did and how I felt and why I did it, the reasoning behind it. And the important thing here, the one takeaway I want you to get from this is find one lesson in the day and make it into a script, as I call them, to read the next morning. Because every trading session, you can make one improvement. And what you'll notice is actually it tends to repeat day after day after day. So you don't tend to come up with new lessons to remind yourself the next morning. You actually kind of tend to repeat the same ones over and over. All right, number 11, ignore your P&L and track your performance instead. This one is really big too. This detachment from the balance in your accounts is going to make your trading so much less stressful. And it takes a little while to get used to it, because I know it's like the gold standard. Everyone shares their P&L and their screenshots of the trade and the profits and how they're doing this week across their TradeZilla dashboard. But trust me, don't do it. Instead, I actually built spreadsheets where I was able to track my daily performance based off of how well I adhered to my rules and how much emotional control I had. I just did it in a spreadsheet. And I noted if the day was red or green, and that's it. No profit, no loss. And at the end of the week, I didn't add it up and determine if I was down or up on my accounts. This actually made such a big difference in my trading that I built my own performance journal app. It's called the Consistency Lab. The idea is that you build consistency and you improve your results as a byproduct. And basically, it doesn't matter if I'm green or red on the day. I grade myself on my performance and if I missed any setups. Because as a trader, we can't judge ourselves based off red or green. We can only judge ourselves based off of our discipline and our adherence to our rules and strategy. We are guaranteed red days, and therefore we can't be upset about that. We're guaranteed red weeks and even sometimes red months. But those can feel so dejecting. However, if you're looking at your performance, it becomes irrelevant how much P&L is in your account. Number 12, accepting red days and weeks. And this was a big epiphany for me at one point. As traders, we know that we're going to have red days and we're going to have red weeks. But for my first couple years of trading, it didn't sink in. It didn't actually compute, because a red day or a red week was a threat to my progress and therefore to my existence. So what I ended up doing is I went through years of backtesting data, and I found the statistics for me and my model to show me how many red days and weeks to expect, a percentage, how many break-even weeks to expect as a percentage, and how many green weeks to expect as a percentage. So now I know when I face a red week, a red day, or a red month, I know the statistical probability of that showing up, and it doesn't bother me. I know it's just part of playing this game. All right, so number 13 is daily and weekly performance reviews. So what I do at the end of every day and every week is I just real quickly go over the charts and I review the trades that I took, the trades that I missed. And I combine this with my grading system for my performance. And then when you combine this all and look at the entire week across the board, you can see your performance and adherence to your rules day by day. You can see the trades you took versus the trades you missed. You can see the opportunities that you missed, and you can get a better picture of the week to determine how well you performed. In my opinion, trading is a performance activity just like a sport, because there's taking trades we shouldn't have taken. There's taking trades we should have taken, whether or not they were winners or losers, and there's trades we missed. We need to understand all of those to get an understanding of how well we performed across the week. And what I do is I compare my performance versus what I would deem to have been a perfect performance. And I look at the difference between those two in terms of R, not in terms of P&L. So maybe I ended the week up 1.5 R, but I took one bad trade and I missed another trade I probably should have taken. So I actually, if I would have performed perfectly, would have been up 2.5 R on the week, for example, or 3 R. There's a difference right there, and that difference is what I'm interested in. And for me, this really helped my brain encapsulate the week and understand what happened, how well I did, and if I could have done any better. It's easy to set a break-even week behind me or a red week behind me if I don't think I could have done any better. Our number 14 is reframe everything as positive. Now, this isn't to be delusional and not truthful. You have to accept the truth. You could be like, you don't want to deny that your account's in drawdown, for example, but that can be framed as a good thing. So as opposed to being stressed that you're down 2R in your account below break even and you're in drawdown, instead you could say, I still have 8R available to me to recover this. Or for example, if you're at that phase in your trading where you're still losing a little bit, that's actually a good thing. It becomes because you're no longer losing a lot. You see how you've progressed? You just have to reframe it. Number 15, daily recharge time. Trading is a mentally exhausting activity, and sitting in front of the charts endlessly fries your brain and reduces your performance for the next day's session. You have to build in daily recharge time. For me, that means at 7 o'clock at night, I cut everything off. I do nothing other than things that will recharge my soul and my spirit, like being with my family or relaxing outside in the garden. All right, number 16, make money elsewhere. This is huge. And even if you have money saved up and you're able to, learn to trade while not working like I did, you want to be making money because it'll make you feel like you're actually being productive and bringing in money, and it'll reduce the stress that comes with needing to make money from trading. So while I've been riding on my savings for a long time, I still actually do other jobs and side hustles, small things that don't take all of my attention, like my last business. For example, I started a small eBay store and I do that a little bit every week. I started a hauling business and I do that on occasion when I get a job. And I never say no to opportunities as they arise, no matter how big or how small. Making sure I'm still hustling and making money elsewhere has made my trading much, much more stable. And number 17, last but not least, if you had a rough trading day, you need to reboot. And how do you do that? In my opinion, there's only one thing that's really worked for me, and that's hard cardio. So I've had bad trading days, and maybe I'll decide to take the afternoon off and relax. That's never helped me reboot and reset. I kind of still carry forward the emotion into the next trading day, and that impacts my next trading day. Distracting myself didn't help either. But what I found is about 1 to 2 hours of hard cardio immediately reset myself and made my mind much clearer and care a whole lot less about whatever happened that day. So after a hard bike or paddle session, I'm ready for the next day with a fresh mind. And that's really important because the mind that we carry into the next trading day will impact that trading day. If you think about a dog when it's stressed or like you harass it a bunch and then it walks away and does a big old shake and then walks away and starts wagging its tail again, that shake is a response to stress to remove the stress from the dog. And so in my experience, the human body is similar in that it requires physicality to actually remove the stress from a rough trading day. And I've had weeks where I've gone mountain biking 3 or 4 days after a trading session in a row just to try to help myself stay regulated. Now, if there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it is this. Discipline isn't about becoming emotionless. You're still going to feel fear. You're going to feel frustration. You're still going to feel FOMO after missing the move. The goal isn't to eliminate those emotions. The goal is to stop taking orders from them. Remember, amateur traders trade from their emotions. Professional traders observe the emotions and follow their plan anyway. And the good news is that discipline isn't something you're born with, right? It's something you build through habits, systems, and repetition. Now, start with 1 or 2 habits from this video. Don't try to implement all 15 at once because consistency isn't built in a day. It's built one disciplined decision at a time throughout a day. Now, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments which habit you need to work on the most, and I'll see you in the next video.